Okay, good morning guys. I want you guys to take a quick look. Casey is going to be coming here this weekend. He's going to be picking up his frame, he's going to be taking it home, and he's going to start cleaning it up, taking it apart, cleaning it up, and replacing all the suspension, the bushings, leaf springs, etc. And he's going to have the frame around for around 4 to 6 weeks. He's got to do it after school and between work with his dad, and that's an awesome thing. But here's his car. Before I take it down off the lift, I want you guys to have a look up underneath here. Now, of course, this back pan you see, we have not replaced yet, but Casey does have the replacement panel that goes underneath. And of course, like I explained to you before, Pontiac is different. The body panel that is up on top, we have to fabricate here. You cannot buy it. So we got underneath here, and we did a beautiful job on scraping all the old tar off the rear trunk pan because it was covered in it. And there was nothing wrong with the trunk pan, so we scraped it all off and we texture sprayed the whole car underneath. Of course, we sanded it and we put an etch primer on it, and then we texture sprayed it all. But there it is with all his new floors. Obviously, we didn't build the floor pan, it was bought. Pontiacs, now I do not know about the American Pontiacs, but the Canadian Pontiacs 55 and 56 are the same as a Chevy. Same as a Chevy up here in Canada. Matter of fact, you can even bolt Chevy doors on, Chevy hood, Chevy trunk lid, Chevy fenders. You can do whatever you want to them. They all interchange. The mechanicals are basically the same too. But there it is. There's Casey's car. That's what's going on there. Now you see in the background, there's the 67 VW van that we've been working on. You saw some of the body panels in earlier videos. There's the van itself. Now what I want to jump to here today, what I want to talk about today, and we're going to go in the office, I want to talk about pricing and people asking for quotes. It is time that we kind of nip this situation in the ass before it gets any further confusing. And you're soon going to understand where I'm going with this. So we'll shut the camera off here, we'll get set up in the office, and we'll have a discussion on what exactly we're talking about here. Okay, so what we're going to discuss here that I was just mentioning was people are getting hold of me through, whether it's through email or if they're texting me, which I'm not much of a texter. I really don't like texting. 1 or 2 messages is fine. After that, it's like pick up the phone, let's have a conversation. And there are also some people are phoning. Very few phone nowadays though. I'm assuming because people are doing this when they're at work and they can't let their boss see that they're on the phone instead of doing the job. Anyway, what they're doing is they're writing into me and or they're asking me, they're saying, look, I have a vehicle. Like here's one. A guy wrote into me, says I have a Datsun, the motor needs to be rebuilt and I want to repaint it. How much would this cost me? I don't know. I mean, how bad is the motor? I don't know until you get the motor apart. A paint job, is there dents? Is there rust? Are you changing the color? Are we doing it in the door jambs? Are we doing it inside the box? Like, I have no idea. I can't even see anyone out there giving an idea. I mean, some of you guys out there, please, right back here, you guys that are on YouTube that are watching me that have shops of your own, is it just me, or is it just impossible? Because I think it's impossible to give quotes on stuff like this. Another fellow wrote to me and said, I'm looking for, I believe he wrote in and said, I'm looking for a 69 to 74 Nova or something. I'd like to do a full frame off restoration, V8, you know, new interior, new this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, I don't have the car. Do you locate cars? And what do you figure this will cost me at the end of the day? Okay, well, that's a widespread range of the car. So which one do you actually like the best? What color paint are you looking for? What kind of running gear do you want to put in this thing? What condition is the car even going to be in when I get it? I have no idea. And I'm sorry I don't have any ideas. It's just impossible. I think where people come from that is you see some of these shows on TV that a guy rolls in and he throws down 100 grand on the table and he says, I got $100,000 and you got 3 weeks to build this car, and by the way, I don't have it. And they're like, yep, they scoop up the money and we're going to build you that car. And that's not reality, people. That's not real. It is, but it isn't, if you know what I'm saying. Then there's the guys that write in that just ask, they'll, hang on one sec. There we go. Just had to move a couple things. Then there's the guys that write into me and they send me photos of their vehicle. And they say, so what do you think I'm looking at? There's some photos. And, you know, at least they send photos. And a lot of guys send lots of photos, which is nice, up close. But the other issue that they don't understand, and at least they're trying, is they don't realize that they're showing me all the rust on the outside of the vehicle, but I can't, obviously if there's rust on the rear quarter panel and it's above the wheel lip, chances are it's probably gone through and it's on the inner wheel tub itself. So I have no idea. So the bottom line is that I absolutely do not give quotes without seeing the vehicle in person. I don't care how many pictures you send over. I don't care how good of pictures. I don't care if you spend all day, you put it on a hoist. I don't care. I do not give quotes without seeing the vehicle. Say I'm an ass by saying that. It doesn't matter to me. I think at least I'm being honest. I want to see what you've got. I want to be able to give you the closest number possible. I don't want to be the guy that tells you, yes, I can do that for 20 grand or 30 grand or 40 grand. And then you bring it into me and I look at it and I'm like, no, that's going to be 100 grand. And you're like, oh my God. Because let's face it, guys, here's the other thing. I always tell people I work within their budgets. I try and work with their budget. I don't work within it. I try and work with their budget. And the key, the bottom line here is at the end of the day is that my rates don't change any. My hourly rate stays the same. It's just that if you don't want to spend a lot, as they always say, you get what you pay for. And I'll try and cut some corners somewhere that are feasible. I don't like to cut corners. Like, I won't bring a car in here and if the whole side is rotted out, I'm not going to shove it full of newspaper and build you a new quarter panel. That is something we're not going to do. But if the quarter panel's rotted out, and I tell you need a new quarter panel, we'll say the lower section, you're like, I can't afford that because it's going to be within this number. I'll say, okay, why don't I cut it out, I'll make a patch, I'll weld it in every couple inches, I'll seam seal it on the back side, Dave will do his body work on the outside, so at least it'll still be metal underneath there, but the proper way would have been to put a nice quarter panel on there and put it back where it belongs and blah, blah, blah. The way we're doing it is if anyone ever grinds it down, they're going to be, oh, they just put a patch in there. They just cut it out and put a patch in there. And you know that, so there we go there. It's just impossible to give out quotes. Like I said, I'm just trying to be honest with people. I want to see the vehicle. I want to give you the best quote I can by seeing it in person. I'm not the guy. Anyone out there watching this video, if you've got jobs, my local people, if you've got jobs and you're going to send me pictures or you're going to just write into me and say how much you do this, I'm just going to say sorry. Like I do to most people that are writing in, I'm sorry, I have to see the vehicle. And I write this to a lot of people, I never hear from them again. I never ever hear from them. Some of these people could be real people, some of these people could be fishing. I've always said, the shop that doesn't see your vehicle, if you write to them and say how much to paint my vehicle and rebuild my motor, and the shop that writes back to you and says I can do that for 15 grand or 10 grand, that's a shop not to go to. They're just trying to get you in the door, in my opinion. Once they get you in the door, and they start getting you apart, that's when you know. You'll find out soon enough. Jobs, usually when they come in, I will go and look at them. Sometimes if they're local enough to me, I will go look on my own time. I'll take a look. I'll get back to the customer within 24 to 48 hours, and I will give them a ballpark what I think it's going to cost. Then they'll bring the job in if we're going to do it, and then once I get going on it, then once I get going, I can see what it's actually going to be, because now you've gotten into it more, you've cut into pieces and parts, you've started taking stuff apart, now you really see what's going on. You know, it's like a doctor. You go to a doctor, you say, I got a sore leg. The doctor's going to say, he's going to feel it, he's going to check it out, he's going to do all the tests, and he's going to say, okay, well, I think this is what's going on. But let's send you to the hospital and get the x-rays. Once we get the x-rays, then we know. It's no different than a car. I'll come look at your car, you know, you run your hand down the body, you feel it, you look at it, I think this is what it's going to be. But until you get it in the shop and I start actually get into it and start cutting into it and seeing what's underneath all that, you don't know. So that's where I'm going there. I think my rates are probably one of the cheapest rates around. I'm not going to say what my rates are. I mean, all I can tell you is that most shops are charging anywhere from minimum $90 to $125 an hour, and I'm lucky if I'm just a little more than half of what $90 an hour would be. So I mean, you take $90 an hour, divide it in half, and I'm just a little more than that. So there you have an idea what I'm charging an hour. I don't take money from people up front because I do paydays every 2 weeks. I get your car in here, I start on it, every second Friday you come and pay me. This way here there's no problem. I didn't take tens of thousands of dollars from you and you have to worry about it. You pay every 2 weeks. When you don't pay every 2 weeks, then what happens is, no matter what the excuse is, unless somebody passed away in the family or you got in a car accident, no other excuses. I don't care if you're drunk, you're hungover, you're sick, I don't care. If you do not show up on payday, because I still have to pay my guys, then what happens is when you do show up 2 or 3 days late, that's right, only 2 or 3 days late, I push your car outside and I say, thank you very much for your pay. See you later. Take your car. There's no second or third chances here because I've got a list a mile long of jobs to do. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it's ignorant. I think it's only fair. All of us go to work every day, and every second payday, every 2 weeks, we want to be paid. That's just the way it is. This is not free to run this shop. Now, building cars, just a quick note, building cars nowadays, even though I say I stay within people's budgets, I'm going to tell some of the novice guys out there that don't know, you can't build a car anymore. If you're going to bring a car into me and you think I'm going to take, you know, you're going to, even just a paint job, most stuff that comes in here, you know, is 10 grand and over. It just is. It is not cheap anymore. Go down and price out paint. Paint isn't just all the same price no matter what color you buy. It depends on what pigments are in the paint. I mean, like, I'm talking like, you know, the pearls and metallics, all that. Paint depends on what you pick out. And, you know, and then there's good clear coat, there's bad clear coat, there's good primer, there's cheap primer. It all depends on what you get. And at the end of the day, I get a lot of guys that will come to me and they'll say, hey, here's my car. And this is a good example. Here's my car. All I need you to do is sand it down, repaint it. There's a couple dings right there. That's it. I'll say, okay. They'll say, okay, so what do you figure? Around 3 grand? And I'm like, no. No. Now I'm talking to cars that's got maybe a couple little dings, sand it down, repaint it. I'm not even talking doing the door jams or under the hood or nothing. Cannot do it for that price. The time I buy the paint, the clear coat, the hardener, the primer, all the bullshit, the masking paper, the sandpaper, a little bit of body filler, all that, I'm probably well into it for over $1,000 right there. My cost, and I am being serious. That's what it is. Now, obviously, I have to make a little profit on the parts. I'm not like most shops. I don't up everything 100%, but I have to make a little bit. It just, every shop makes a little bit off it. So, you know, and then you got to add your little bit. But still, I'm a little over $1,000. And then you got the time to sand a vehicle down. You don't sand a whole car in a day. I had a guy come in here once. Dave will even tell you this. We were laughing away. A guy came in here, and he said, how long? Well, I said, well, we got at least 3 to 4, you know, 3 days solid of sanding on it and fixing those few dings. Then we're going to put, there's just some dings in primer, you know. And then we got to, you know, we got to paint it and blah, blah. And he's like, so, you know, so what are we looking at? And I said, well, give us around 5 days on it. 5 days, here's my hourly rate. Then the material. I said, you're probably around 6 or 7 grand. He says, what? 5 days to sand? He goes, you just have to go like that. The sand, just walk around the car and go like that. Just, he's got a piece of, he's like this, but it's sandpaper. That's it, just sand it. Well, if that's what you want me to do, I'll go and do that. I don't even see a point then. I think we should just mask up the windows, or even, why even do that? I think we should just bring the spray gun out right now and let's just shoot it. It takes time. Prep work takes time. The paint job, when you see beautiful paint jobs, people always think of the painter. And yes, the painter did a wonderful job. But paint jobs, and anyone out there on YouTube right now will write in and tell you, anyone doing a vehicle out there that's doing restoration like me will tell you, paint jobs are determined by the prep work. The better the prep work, the better the paint job. That's the bottom line there. So those days of painting cars, for supplying the paint and painting them for $3,000 are well but gone. So just, it's another warning to you guys out there. Anyone thinking they're going to bring me a car and I'm going to sand it down, I'm going to paint it, you're going to get out of here for 3 grand. No, it's just not going to happen. You know, things are expensive nowadays, unfortunately. Even I myself sometimes am shocked how much things cost. All I'm saying is that my rates are reasonable. The cheapest around at the moment for where I'm living in my area. I'll be fair to you. And I'll try and stay within budget. Usually when I go over budget, it's no more than 20 to 25%. If we do go way over that, it's only because when we get into the vehicle, we find certain things. A good example, we'll say, was Colby's truck. Colby's truck came in. We thought it was in good shape. His truck was actually in good shape, but then we got going on the roof there, and if some of you guys watched the videos on it, we got going, and all of a sudden we found it was just completely caved in, full of a million holes up there, and we had to replace the roof cap. There was something we didn't expect. Then we had to change his axles out on his differential because we were going to 5-volt. When we end up taking the diff apart to change the axles out, we found the diff was no good. So see, sometimes things go a little over budget. But that's all stuff, and that is exactly why I do the paydays every two weeks. That is why I do it, so the customer can come in here at the end of 2 weeks and I can say, look at this. I never took the roof off his truck. I left it there so he could see it. I left the diff alone so he knew what was going on. I didn't jump the gun and just start spending his money. I told him and I warned him, so when he came here, he knew. That is how you run the business properly. That's how you keep customers happy, and that's how you keep them coming back. So at the end of the day, guys, unfortunately, the one thing out there I want to mention is building cars from the frame off. If you're paying someone, there's no more doing it for 20, 25 grand unless you're doing it yourself. If you're taking it to a shop like myself, even with my rates the way they are, I am not building cars for nowhere near 20 grand from the frame off. Parts and labor, most cars that are rolling out of here that we're doing a complete frame off on, that I am supplying the motors, the trannies, all the paintwork, all the panels, all the bullshit, everything except maybe the interior. They're ranging anywhere from a minimum of maybe around 40 grand up to around 70 grand. That's what they're going for. And at the end of the day, that may sound expensive to you, but if you go to another shop, because most shops are double my labor rate, and they up the parts 100%, because that's what most shops do. I worked in shops for many years, trust me. I'm being honest with you. I worked as a mechanic, I worked in body shops. Most of the shops that I worked in, when parts came in, they would up it 100%. Now, some of the guys out there shops are probably going to hate me for this, but it's the truth. That's what they would do. I don't even up it 50%, but I do up my parts. But I don't even up them 50%. And we have to. Shops have to do that because that's what pays for the compressor when it breaks down. That's what helps pay with the heat above it. You have to. We can't give it to you what we pay for it. But anyway, those days of building those kind of cars for 20 grand, they're not out there. If you want the honest to God truth, and I've done this to several customers, if you bring me an old rot box and you say, oh my God, I want to restore it, and I say that's going to be 60, 70 grand, I'll tell you right from the beginning, you're better just to go online and buy one right now. It's cheaper. But most people don't, because at the end of the day, when you buy it, you don't know what you're getting because it's all redone. It's all covered up. And they say, well, how do I know what's under that? And it may not be the color they want. It may not be the interior or engine they want. And they say, by the time I get the car, buy the car for the 30 grand off the guy, and I change everything, I'm into it for the 70 anyway. So I may as well just do this one. And then they say, then I got documentation and I built it my way. And that's how we stay busy too, because people want to do their own car. But if you don't have a lot of money and you're a first time guy out there and you just want to get into a car, just go buy what you see that you like online. It's going to be cheaper. Buy something that somebody else has restored 10 years ago. Buy it, because they never get their money back out of them. Anyway, hopefully it helps some of these people out there. Hopefully some of you guys understand that I am the type of guy. Phone me up, talk to me. On my time off, if you're within a certain, like if you're within a 50-mile radius of me, I will come and look at your vehicle on my time. I will. And I don't mind doing that. And we'll get a good look at it. Or you can drive by the shop and let me see it if it's on the road. But there's no point writing into me, guys. I just can't answer that. And I really suggest that if you write to someone and say, look, how much to paint my car, and the guy says I can do that for 5 grand, I really suggest don't take it there. Because the chances are, even when you get it there, he might say, oh yeah, we'll do it for 5 grand. And he'll get it in there and get a good deposit off you. And we've heard this story a dozen times. He'll take it apart and he'll call you up and he'll say, I need the rest of the money. You'll bring the rest of the money. And then he'll phone you up again and say, guess what? We need another 5 grand. Your 5 grand's gone. And you'll be like, I thought you said you could do it for 5 grand. And he'll say, well, but look what's under here now when I took it all apart. And then you'll be like, oh my God, I don't have any more money. Because maybe you didn't know any better. And there are people out there. And now your car's in a million pieces. You've spent 5 grand with him. What do? You either let him continue to finish it, because maybe he is being honest, maybe, but I doubt it, because if he was honest, he would have told you right from the beginning. Maybe you let him continue to finish it, or you take it home in a bunch of pieces, or you phone up someone like myself or another shop and say, I want to bring it over to you, but now because someone else is taking it apart, now even I'm going to be more money. Because I don't know how it goes back together. I don't know what's missing. Don't know how it fit when it came in. I don't know this stuff. So just, honestly guys, if you want to go to a good shop, take it to a shop where the guy takes the time to go out and look it over, checks it out, like I'm saying to you. Go to someone like myself who wants to see it in person. Don't be insulted when I say, I can't give you a price, I got to see it. Take it to someone that wants to look at it. It means that they want to get involved in it. They want to know what's going on. They want to check your car out. That's the only way. Okay. It's always a good time at old time. We'll see you next time. There you go.